Hey guys, Chris, Ironhead Garage. Hey, look at that, he's firing up a top fueler. Oh yeah, gotta love them. So, got the old Model A and been working on the old GMC some. Been getting the correct parts. So, I did set her on the ground to see what she looks like. Yeah, calipers and the rotors look nice through the wheel. I did end up getting the right sway bar mounting brackets. Those other ones just wouldn't work, but as you can see, those ones are tied up to the frame. So those are the correct ones. The other ones, the rubber was just too thick. These here have a grease cert on them. And on this side, you can see up under there. So I got that all together. Got all the tie rods on there. Got the cotter pins in them. Got the center link on there. And I got everything torqued down. And I had to put the wheels on it and see what it looked like on the ground. She's pretty low in the front. Yeah, it's looking pretty cool. But, so I needed shocks and I needed rubber brake hoses coming off those calipers. So I did get some shocks, some KYB front shocks for it. Here they are. Yeah, they're decent. I put a KYB on my 55 gasser on the rear. I think they're a little different model, but these will work for the 55 truck. It's got all the bushings. So I got the new bolts, grade 8 bolts for the bottom to bolt them on here. So that's cool. So these calipers, I had a little bit of trouble getting brake lines. So I guess in 1978, they changed, or 79, late 78 to 79, they changed the metric. So I went and bought brake lines for 78 Firebird. But my banjo bolts were baggy in here. So I couldn't figure out what was the trouble. I went and got different banjo bolts. And they weren't right. So I kept the ones that came with my calipers here. And actually these are 10 millimeter 1.25. And then I went down and I ordered 79 to 81 brake lines for Firebird. And these are metric. So now that fits in there good. They tried to tell me that it would work, but the other ones were 7/16. And these got a 10 millimeter hole. So for a 10 millimeter bolt. So I got the correct ones now, so that's cool. So I got both sides there, and it came with the copper washers for to seal it up. So I got to jack her back up to hook them brake lines up, and I got the original subframe Firebird brake line holders that the clips come in, or the clips hold the line in. Get one of these guys out of here. They go through there like so. Then you put the little keeper in there, and it keeps it on there. But I need to sand them up and clean them. That's the driver's one. So the passenger one here, you can see the frame has a threaded hole here, and then that's for the little peg that goes into there. So I need to clean those up and paint them. This one here on this side, this has a taller bracket on. I'm not sure if I'm going to cut this off or not, because this was for a proportioning valve. And I'm not running a proportioning valve on this truck. I'm running residual valves. So that'll go there. So that's where the old proportioning valve came. I'm going to probably cut that off. So I got two, 10-pound residual valves. I'll have to check. I always get those mixed up for the front, and then I got a single one for the rear, because if your brake master cylinder is lower than your calipers, you need a residual valve so you don't get back bleed on the brake fluid. Some of you guys know that, some of you guys don't. I've talked about that on the old Model A. I put the residual valves on it. But this one has a single line coming off of the master cylinder to the front, then it's a T, and goes around to the back, and then takes off for the passenger side. I got them here on the ground That's a 1/4 inch line. Comes off the master cylinder and it goes around, and then it feeds the passenger front wheel, and then the T there, it goes back to the back. So this is my old lines that I made up before I cut the frame off. So I'm going to cut this line in half and put a residual valve in the center, and I'll have to cut that end off and put a different size flaring nut on there. And then this side, this end here for the drivers comes out of the master cylinder. There's a T right here at the master cylinder. And then so this line I'll cut right here somewhere and put a residual valve. And then I'll have to cut this nut off of here and put the right size flaring nut to fit these brake lines here. And then the rear, I have the new rear line on there. That's going back to the rear end brakes. I'll have to cut that one and then put a residual valve in it. But I got all the flaring nuts to do that. So I'm going to jack her back up and pull these wheels off and put them new KYB shocks on there and set her back down on the ground. No, maybe I'm going to do the brake lines and then probably, I'm not sure if I'll set her back down. Anyway, who knows? But I'll do that. Just coming together. Starting to get cold outside here. It's about 55 degrees in the shop. I'm almost ready to burn the heater. But anyway, we'll get back to doing it. Get back to working on the old GMC. Get this thing going. All right. Be back. All right, well, I got her up on stands. Got the wheels back off to make putting on these shocks a lot easier and putting on them brake lines. But anyway, if you guys remembered, those big 20-inch wheels I got are Ford pattern. And that's why I ended up changing these rotors to 11-inch rotors with 1/2-inch studs that are Ford bolt pattern. Pretty cool. Speedway makes these, but got some red paint on there. Must have been red paint on the back of that wheel from old drums. But anyway, I'll get that off. And so those being Ford bolt pattern, I have to use adapters on my back ones, which actually worked out pretty darn good, because here I got about 3/4 of an inch clearance from the lip, and on the inside of the bed panels here, I got 3/4 of an inch. So if these were Chevy and I didn't have those adapters on there, they're 1.25 inches, I believe, I would have had to cut the inside of my bed. I would have had to make little wheel tubs right there. So these being Ford pattern with the adapters actually worked out just perfect. It centers the rear wheel right up in the rear wheel well. So that worked out killer. And I did get a good deal on these wheels. That's the only reason why I bought them. Being Ford pattern, you know. I would have bought Chevy ones, but yeah. This side, you can see, fits right up in there. A little tight on this side of the truck, but enough room to work. So using those adapters actually made it good for the back, so that's cool. And I was able to get these 11-inch rotors that are made for Ford, but they're made for GM. Imagine that. Pretty slick. All right, well, I'm gonna get these shocks on there and work on them brake lines. All right, well, I got them shocks all bolted up, driver side and passenger side. I'll put the double nut on there, you know, just in case she wants to rattle loose, but you can see them down in there. You can see them KYBs. Yeah, sure, it's nice to finally have some shocks on this old girl. So I got the spindle turned that way. I'm gonna do these brake lines. So some of you guys know, some of you may not know, these are called a banjo bolt. And they got a hole in the center there for the brake fluid. And they got a hole straight down the center for the brake fluid to come out. And you want 2 copper washers. You want one on that flange. And then you stick it through the brake line here. Then you want another copper washer. Then you won't have no leaks. So make sure you use them copper washers, or go down and get yourself a couple new ones that fit right, and you shouldn't have no brake leak. And torque her down good and tight. So I'm gonna get this brake line on. I'm gonna get the driver's side on and mess with these brackets. All right. All right, I got the brake lines all hooked up. Hopefully they don't leak. I don't think they will. I ended up retapping this hole. I couldn't find the original bolt for it, but I painted the little clips up and I painted the brackets up. So that guy goes like so. Then put my nice little grade 8 bolt in there. So I'll hold the brake line. I put the clip in there. I got this side retapped. And I got the bracket cut off. I went ahead and cut it off. Don't need that other, the extra length on it. So it'll look nice and clean. I'll get that tightened up. And I believe I might have to trim my inner fender wells a little bit, because I never thought about the brake line coming in here. And they come pretty tight to the A-arm where I notched them over. There they are, the little notch. So I'm gonna have to stick them in there and see if I might have to trim this off a little bit. A little angle dangle on each end, but I'll get them mocked back up and see what I got to do. All right. All right, well, I had them inner fender wells off and on a couple times. I did do some trimming on them, but I went ahead and finished the brake lines, so that was good. I figured, man, I better do these brake lines or they ain't gonna get done. So you can see down there, goes on top of the frame. I put one of them little Earl clamps there, snakes down there, and on the other side, driver's side, got the line there. It's going down to the residual valve. See if you can see it down there through all that spaghetti. Well, sort of. You can see it shining down there in the middle. I'll get up underneath and show you guys. But I went ahead and, whoa, man, that light's bright in your eyes. I went ahead and put the starter on. I put the exhaust flanges on, the pipes that I got. I put the oil filter on right there. You can see that exhaust sticking down. There they are. Exhaust pipe, so I can make sure everything's going to clear. And there's the other one sticking down. I actually put oil in the engine. Ain't had no oil in it in a while. Spun her over a few times with the old ratchet. Put the transmission dipstick on there. So kind of whittling away the projects on it. The missing links, I guess you would say. Crawl underneath this pig, grab this bright ass light. Always blinds me. But yeah, so there's the residual valve there. Put a little Earl clamp in front of it with a hole that bent it around, is not touching the frame. There's the T. And this is the back line. That's where I cut it there and put that residual valve in. This new brake line's all the way to the wheel cylinders now, back there. So over there, I got the residual valve, see, right there with a little clamp. Yeah, so checking things off the list. Crawling out from underneath here. Man, you get the truck up a little higher, it'd be a lot better. I did put the wheels back on, just to see what she kind of looked like with the fenders. But put the radiator in the core support. See that bottom outlet there on the radiator? See that sway bar there? Yeah, I did some measuring. I don't think it's good, but I'll put it in there, put that core support on there, and see what kind of trouble I got. Alright, well, I got that core support bolted on, and yep, that outlet for the radiator. Look at that. Who would have thought of that? I guess I could take that sway bar off and not run the sway bar, but and not after all that work. Yeah, what a bummer. Can't get a hose on that. I guess a guy could cut it and try to 45 it up there, or a 90 actually, and have it come up. But man, what a bummer. That's one thing I didn't think of. But that's an old radiator. I washed it out, rinsed it, and flushed it. So I think I found a solution. 55 to, I believe it's 1960 Corvette radiator will fit. It has the same fill right here. It has the outlet on this side and it angles up. It's the same width, has the same style of mounting bracket. I'll have to drill the holes where my bolts are. It don't slant like this one on the bracket, but I could shim that top out and make it slant. So it'll steer, clear my steering box over there. The only thing different is this inlet is over there on the passenger side. See, I got to have it clear my steering box super close down here. But having the inlet right here, I can make that hose go right over the alternator bracket and come there. So it's the same width, but it's about 4 inches shorter. So the bottom will be about right here, so that outlet will be right here somewhere. I could modify this radiator, but if I ever busted a radiator somewhere and needed to get one, I would have to do a bunch of soldering and modifying to that outlet on the bottom. So putting the Corvette radiator, it's a 3-core too. I could just buy another radiator if I happen to bust a radiator or something. Easy change. It'll be a direct bolt up, except to drill a couple new holes in this flange. So what a bummer, but at least there's a solution to fix it. And I believe since the new Corvette radiator I'm going to get is about 4 inches shorter, I could probably cut the bottom of this off and weld it back up higher, because it's very hard to get the floor jack up underneath that. When I go to jack it up, I got to put the floor jack at an angle here, because that's only about maybe 5 inches from the ground. So that'll be a lot better, give me more jacking area so I can put the floor jack under there. We'll have to do a little modifying, but I think it'll work. I think I'll weld a piece in here first and then cut this out, or maybe bolt it in. I probably should weld it in there and then cut that out so it don't spring on me. But yeah, a little bummer there, but there's a solution to the problem, so that's good. I think it's around 150 bucks, 160 bucks or something. But yeah, getting it, trying to get all the pieces together. I actually cleaned the bed out, and I got some old fence boards from a job site me and my buddy worked on. So I put some wood in there. They're not cut for the right width, but they're just pine boards, but better than nothing for now. The wood kit for this thing would be killer to have. I think they're oak or maple or something, but it's like 500 bucks for all the right boards. And I have all the stainless pieces to go in between the boards once you cut them the right width. I think there's 3 different widths you got to have. I would like to order the stainless pieces here and take these steel ones off so they're all stainless, but in time, good things come in time, guys. That's all you got to remember. Sometimes might be bad, but they get better most of the time. Anyway, so I actually got a piece of fuel line here I'm going to put in. Here's the old fuel line that was on the old truck cross member. It's steel, and it has a flaring nut there. It was 2 pieces, and I drug the straight one out. And here's the flare connection. So I had, I think it's about 8.5 feet of this 3/8 aluminum line. So I got to go down and get a couple more of these clamps here. I think the hardware store sells these, like the Earl clamps. I think they're pretty darn expensive at the hardware store, though. You can get a whole pack of them on eBay for 25 pack for $12. I think about 5 of them were about $12 down at the hardware store. But anyway, I'm getting it. I just ain't got it. Old Rat Rod Bob would say. Alright guys, well, we'll end this video here. It's getting kind of long. And the old Model A. See that heater out. It's getting cold outside. About ready to put the old 55 Chevy away for the winter. But not just yet. Alright guys, we appreciate you. We'll see you next time. Take care.